You know what amazes me most? How easily a person can become an idol to thousands without ever leaving their own room. A few well-lit shots, a practiced smile, and suddenly you're not just a person. You're a brand, a face, a sensation. I've been watching this for a long time. I've always wondered what these people feel when the camera turns off. Do they stay as confident when the likes disappear, when the screen goes dark and the room fills with silence? I don't like silence. It's too honest. In silence, you can hear every breath, every movement, even your own thoughts become louder. That's why I choose those who fear silence the most, the ones who live in a constant stream of attention. They don't know how to be alone with themselves. They are my favorite audience. I don't pick my targets at random. Every choice I make is the result of long observation, analysis, patience. I know their schedules, when they go for a run, when they order coffee, when they record their next video. I read the comments under their posts. Watch how they handle criticism, how they try to look strong. But I see more. I see the fear behind the smile, the exhaustion behind the jokes, the emptiness behind the bright filters. My work isn't just a game. It's a kind of cleansing. I don't see myself as a criminal. I'm an observer who finally decided to intervene. They chose this path themselves, opened the door to their world. I just help them see the true face of their audience. Indifference, hunger for spectacle, the craving for sensation. The first time was the hardest. I hesitated for a long time before crossing the line. But when I saw thousands laughing at someone else's pain, when likes poured in under videos of real tears, I understood. They stopped being people a long time ago. They're a product, and I'm just turning off the lights in an empty store. I don't leave traces. Everything is planned down to the smallest detail. When the time comes, I act quickly, precisely, without unnecessary emotion. They always think it's just another stunt, a new format, something that will bring them even more followers. They don't realize that this time, their audience will witness real silence. I remember the last one clearly, though the faces always blur together after a while. She was the kind of influencer who built her brand on vulnerability, crying on camera, sharing every heartbreak, every setback, every moment of authenticity. Her followers adored her for it. They called her brave, real, raw. But I could see the calculation in her eyes, the way she checked her reflection in the phone screen before letting a tear fall. I watched her for weeks, learning the rhythm of her life, the way she always left her window cracked open for the fresh air she claimed helped her sleep. It was almost too easy. I waited until the city was quiet, until the only light in her apartment was the soft blue glow of her ring light. She was editing a video, headphones on, lost in the world she'd created for herself. I stepped inside, silent as a shadow. She didn't even notice me at first. When she finally did, her eyes widened, but she didn't scream. Not right away. Maybe she thought I was a fan or a stalker or just another story to tell her followers. I told her what I wanted. She would go live just like always. She would talk to her audience just like always. But this time there would be no script, no edits, no second takes. Just her and the truth and the knowledge that everyone was watching. I could see the panic flicker across her face, the way her hands shook as she set up her phone. She tried to bargain, to reason, to promise me anything I wanted, but I didn't want anything from her. I just wanted her to show them what real fear looked like. The comments started pouring in as soon as she went live. Is this real? What's going on? This is so intense. They thought it was a performance, a new viral challenge, something to screenshot and share. I watched the numbers climb, thousands of eyes glued to their screens, hungry for something they couldn't name. She tried to hold it together, tried to smile, but her voice trembled. Her eyes darted at me, just out of frame. The audience loved it. They always do. When it was over, the room felt impossibly empty. The phone buzzed with notifications, the chat still scrolling with hearts and fire emojis. But she was gone, and the silence pressed in on me like a weight. I left the way I came, careful, methodical, invisible. By morning, the news was everywhere. Tragic live stream shocks internet. Fans demand answers after influencer's final video. They speculated, theorized, turned her last moments into content. No one ever suspects the audience. No one ever suspects the silence. After that night, I noticed the world shifting around me, almost imperceptibly at first. The news cycle spun faster than ever. dissecting every second of her final live stream, replaying her last words, her last glance off camera. Theories multiplied. Some said it was a hoax, others whispered about a deranged fan. A few even blamed the platform itself. But no one looked for someone like me. I was just another face in the crowd, another silent watcher behind a screen. I kept moving, kept watching. There was always another influencer, another shining star desperate for attention, another audience hungry for spectacle. I found them in every city, every suburb, every glowing window late at night. They all thought they were untouchable, that their followers were a shield, that the world owed them something for sharing their lives. I never rushed. I waited, studied, let them reveal their patterns. The world is full of people who want to be seen, but none of them ever see what's coming. Sometimes I wondered if anyone would ever notice the pattern. The police always looked for stalkers, jealous exes, obsessed fans. They never imagined someone like me, someone who didn't want fame or money or even recognition. I just wanted to show them the truth, that the audience is always watching, but never really caring. That behind every viral moment, there's a void waiting to swallow the noise. I became more careful, more methodical. I wiped every trace, left no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing but a lingering sense of unease. The platforms tried to clamp down, adding new safety features, new warnings. But it was all for show. The audience wanted more, and the influencers kept giving it to them. I was just the final act in a play they'd all agreed to perform. But the world is never as predictable as you want it to be. One night, as I watched a new target, a fitness guru with 1 million followers and a smile that never reached her eyes, I felt something shift. She was different. She didn't overshare, didn't beg for sympathy, didn't let the audience in too close. She kept her real life hidden behind a wall of curated content. I watched her for weeks, waiting for a crack to appear. But she never slipped. Still, I was patient. I waited for the right moment, the right night. I followed her home, blending into the shadows. Just another late-night jogger on a quiet street. But as I approached her building, I felt eyes on me, sharp, cold, deliberate. I glanced over my shoulder, saw nothing but empty windows and the flicker of a street lamp. I told myself it was nothing, just nerves, but the feeling lingered. Inside, her apartment was immaculate, every surface spotless, every object in its place. She was in the middle of a live stream, talking to her fans about discipline, about control, about the power of routine. I waited in the darkness, just out of sight, listening to her voice echo through the empty rooms. When the stream ended, she stood up, stretched, and turned toward the hallway, toward me. She didn't scream, she didn't run, she just looked at me, her eyes steady, unafraid. For a moment I hesitated. Something about her calm unsettled me, made me feel exposed. She spoke first, her voice low and even. "I knew you'd come eventually," she said. "You're not as invisible as you think." Before I could react, the lights blazed on. The room filled with people, police, detectives, men and women in plain clothes. They moved quickly, efficiently, pinning my arms behind my back, reading me my rights. I didn't struggle. There was no point. I watched as they searched the apartment, collecting evidence, bagging up my tools, my gloves, my phone. The fitness guru stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching me with the same steady gaze. They took me away in silence, the only sound the click of handcuffs and the low murmur of radios. Outside, the street was lined with cameras, reporters, flashing lights. For the first time, I was the one on display, the one being watched. I felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, hungry for a story, desperate for a villain. In the days that followed, the news exploded with my face, my name, my supposed motives. They called me a monster, a psychopath, a cautionary tale for the digital age. The influencers I'd watched for so long posted videos about safety, about trauma, about the dangers lurking behind every screen. The platforms rolled out new features, new warnings, new promises to protect their stars. But the audience was already moving on, searching for the next spectacle, the next tragedy to consume. They put me in a cell, alone, no windows, no screens, no audience. The silence pressed in on me, heavier than ever before. I listened to the distant sounds of the world outside, Footsteps, doors slamming, the hum of fluorescent lights. No one came to visit. No one asked for my side of the story. I was just another headline, another cautionary tale, another monster locked away where no one had to think about me anymore. Sometimes I wonder if they remember, if the audience ever thinks about the silence that follows the show, the emptiness left behind when the lights go out. But I know the truth. They never cared. They never will. The world moves on, hungry for the next performance, the next face, the next story to devour. And me? I sit in the dark listening to the silence, knowing that for once I am truly alone.